everyone, and thanks for joining us on this midweek edition of Inside Africa. Let's begin from Ghana, where the Ghana National Association of Teachers is calling on policymakers to eliminate all forms of politics surrounding education in the country. According to the association, national policies on education should be isolated from politics to enable the nation find suitable solutions to the educational challenges. General Secretary of NATA, Mrs. Irene Duncan Adanusa, said this while opening the 4th Quadrennial Regional Delegate Conference of NAT.
Education is the foundation for effective development. Over the years, government have been making efforts to improve the quality of education in the country. Since 1931, the educational sector has seen lots of policy directions, but it continues to battle with lots of challenges. Poor infrastructure, lack of teaching materials, unavailability of teachers in underserved areas, absenteeism, low salaries and delay in payment of teachers' salaries continue to hamper the nation's dream of achieving quality education for all. According to the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, the nation's education is in crisis, hence the need to urgently address the challenges. This prompted this year's theme by the Greater Accra NAT 4th Quadrennial Delegate Conference, Education in Crisis, the Path to 2015, Stakeholders' Role in Calming the Storm. The delegates are brainstorming on how to ensure quality education for the Ghanaian student to rub shoulders with his or her colleagues from other parts of the globe. The Greater Accra NAT chairperson, Mrs. Mary Amankwa, called on teachers to exhibit a high sense of professionalism to promote quality education in the country. The General Secretary of NAT, Mrs. Irene Duncan Adanusa, thinks depoliticization of education will also go a long way to ensure quality education.
National policies on education must be insulated from politics so that the nation can enhance her chances of finding the most suitable solutions to its challenges.
A senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Mark Ama, called for concerted effort by interest groups in education to enhance quality education. This year's conference was supported by teachers from the Gambia. NAT believes that until the nation gives quality education to its people, it cannot take charge of the future.
Still in Ghana, the Brona Ahafo Regional Minister, Mr. Paul Evans Adu, has urged Ghanaians to embrace the alternative dispute resolution process as a better option for settling dispute and conflict amicably. He was speaking at a workshop on ADA at FIAPRE in the Brona Ahafo region.
The call was made in a speech at the opening of a one-week alternative dispute resolution workshop at FIAPRE near Sunyani. The workshop was under the auspices of the Catholic University College of Ghana at FIAPRE, the Catholic Diocese of Sunyani, and the Giving Ghana Foundation of New York. About 80 participants from both government and non-governmental organizations shared thoughts on how to mediate and manage conflicts in their respective areas of work. The Vice-Chancellor of the Catholic University College of Ghana, Professor James Ephraim, explained the focus of the workshop.
What is being planned today is to zoom in into the slightly highly technical aspect of ADR being arbitration. This is a further step or another step to deepen the utilization of ADR in resolving conflict.
The Catholic Bishop of Sunyani, Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Jemfi, said most Ghanaians now prefer to rely on the ADR process to iron out their disagreement since the court system drags on, is cumbersome and expensive. The bishop urged the participants to use their mediation and arbitration skills to prepare the minds of Ghanaians, especially party sympathizers, to accept the verdict of the Supreme Court's ruling on the election petition. Professor John Frederick of the Fordham Law School in the U.S. and Professor Dennis Lynch of Giving Ghana Foundation in New York are the brains behind the annual ADR workshops.
A system of justice based only on technical rules and procedures and formal processes was an insufficient and incomplete response to the needs and yearnings of mankind. When we go to court, we know that we are going to win all or lose all. But we go to arbitration with different expectations, that we may not get all we want, but we will not lose everything.
Over in Cameroon, the population of Le Bialem division have wished their father, His Majesty Senator Fon Fotem and Jifwa and Sods Victor many more returns. It was during their homecoming ceremony at Menji recently.
Created in the late 50s, the HO Club of Gentlemen was until recent dates still functioning with the status coin out at its birth. During the Commonwealth Summit of Perth 2011, civil society-oriented reforms bearing many advantages were hashed out to make the Commonwealth an organization of the people and not just of the government, and member countries tasked to popularize them to Commonwealth citizens. While in Bafoussam, after explaining recent changes within the Commonwealth, members of the campaign crew from the Ministry of External Relations told the public that Commonwealth is ready to fund as many civil society projects as possible, from grassroots associations, student movements, and professional orders.
That the people, the population of Cameroon wasn't first of all aware of these reforms, and as a result were not making maximum benefit from our membership in the Commonwealth ever since we joined the organization. The reason why we decided to take it to the various regional headquarters to be able to inform them of the reforms and the various opportunities that now abound within the Commonwealth.
Presiding at the popularization campaign in Bafoussam, Governor Mijiyawa Bakari hailed the Minister of External Relations for the wonderful initiative of bringing the Gentlemen's Club closer to the people. Mijiyawa Bakari further regretted that despite the many advantages put at the disposal of the youth by the Commonwealth, the public knows little or nothing at all of them. While calling on the youth to avail themselves with the present dispensations, he advocated that the Commonwealth should stop being a club of elites in Cameroon.
Now, the report we just brought you was about the population of the West region of Cameroon being exhorted to keep abreast with the new concept of the Commonwealth so as to benefit from its numerous advantages. Now, taking you back to Le Bialem, the population of Le Bialem division have wished their father, His Majesty Senator Fon Fontem Jifwa and Sir Victor many more returns. It was during their homecoming ceremony at Menji.
The population of Le Bialem from various districts of the Republic and the diaspora all converged at Menji to give their father, His Royal Highness Senator Jafar, the Fon of Fontem, who is also the quaestor of the Upper House, a warm welcome back home to the land of greatness, prosperity, discipline, love and concord. Speaker after speaker hailed President Paul Biya for the mark of honor bestowed on the population of Le Bialem through their father and Senator Fon Fontem Jafar. They also used the opportunity to remind President Biya that the Le Bialem division has once again become one of the bastions of CPDM and poor roads are their major problem. Addressing the audience towards the end of the ceremony, His Royal Highness Senator Fontem Jafar overwhelmingly thanked the invitees who turned out in their numbers to welcome him and his alternate despite the heavy downpour of rain. Senator Jafar further stated that his appointment as one of the quaestors, the 17 topmost members of the first ever Senate of Cameroon, is a clear testimony of recognition of the Southwest Traditional Authority. He remarked his appointment is a blessing to the Le Bialem people and a great honor to himself. The fund then challenged Le Bialem sons and daughters to give the CPDM list in the September twin elections a landslide victory.
That is the only way that their expectations can be met. If they don't waver, if they are constant, I want to assure you that President Biya is a man who loves people who stand behind him solidly, and I think the expectation will be met.
Before addressing a motion of thanks and support to Paul Biya, President of Cameroon, a libation ritual was performed for His Royal Highness Senator Fon Fontem and his alternate by Le Bialem funds to instill blessings on them as they forge ahead. Closing the ceremony, A symbolic key was given to His Royal Highness, Senator Njefua, to enable him access all the doors in Yaoundé and beyond to bring home development projects.
Let's take you now to Kenya, where the government stares at yet another possibility of a strike from lecturers at public universities over unpaid salaries and allowances. University unions have now vowed to ask their members to down tools come Monday next week if the government fails to honor the remaining part of a collective bargaining agreement that was to see them receive 3.9 billion shillings this month.
The all-too-familiar song that may sound like music to the ear to anyone else, save for the government.
Forever, for the union makes us strong.
Another hurdle. And it's the same cry, but a different union.
When you see a frog jumping during the day, there must be a reason.
The university's academic staff union and Kenya University's staff union are the latest to join the fray over salary disputes with the government and are threatening that their members will go on strike on Monday, 5th August. Their plight stemming from what they say is the government's decision to renege on a collective bargaining agreement of September 2012 on their salaries and house allowances, amounting to 7.8 billion shillings that were to be effected in two phases. 3.9 billion shillings in July 2012 that was already effected, and the remaining 3.9 billion shillings in July 2013 that will be effected, but now partially, according to a letter the unions received from Education Principal Secretary Dr. Belio Kipsang. The letter says only 2.1 billion shillings will be released, and the remaining 1.8 will be released later during the revised estimates.
They have to look for the balance, 1.8 billion, and release it within, say, the second tranche period. If that is not available, they must prepare to close the universities indefinitely.
We cannot continue working and engaging our employers in legitimate and constitutional negotiations of collective bargaining agreement, and then the government shifts its goalposts.
We are not talking about privileges. We are talking about rights. And we are not demanding any new payments. We are talking about balances owed to us.
The unions also say that instructions given by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission that all existing collective bargaining agreements be completed by 30th June, that is a month ago, make the government proposal untenable.
To our dear students and their dear parents, they should prepare to stay back at home with those boys and girls, because we cannot continue having them on the campuses when we are actually going hungry.
It's the latest in a series of planned industrial action, this coming at a time when the effects of the teachers' strike that ended early this month are still being felt. And just 24 hours after doctors threatened to down their tools next week over unpaid July salaries to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Doctors Union. Hussein Mohammed, Citizen Live at 9.
We stay in Kenya, and putting aside education, a mango processing factory here is soon to be set up in the Hola County of the Tana River Delta to provide market outlets for over 8,000 farmers. The project implemented by Coastal Development Authority will produce mango juice and will help lift the area out of poverty.
It is an imposing building along the dusty road between Garsen and Hola, and perhaps what the doctor ordered for the people of Tana River. It's an area teeming with huge amounts of mangoes, a popular fruit, but most of which goes to waste for lack of a wide enough market. Whatever remains is exploited by middlemen who give insulting prices due to a low demand, since there have been hitherto only 4 processing plants in the entire coast region, none of which is in the vast Tana River zone.
Coast province itself produces 363,000 metric tons of mangoes annually. And with these 363,000 metric tons that are produced annually, Tana River County produces over 45,000 metric tons.
As a result, the project in Hola was started 3 years ago after locals and CDA saw the need for intervention amid rising poverty levels. The Coast Region Poverty Index stays high at 62% in spite of abundant resources like tree crops including coconut, citrus and mangoes.
CDA decided to come up with that intervention, and instead of putting up that plant in Mombasa or Malindi, we decided to bring it closer to the people.
The integrated food processing plant is expected to do much more than reduce wastage and raise profits.
Any community or any area that exports raw materials, in a sense, they are exporting jobs.
The plant, which was acquired from India, has the capacity to produce 30 tons of pulp and ready-to-drink juice per day. 40 jobs will be created directly, while indirect beneficiaries are estimated to number over 20,000. Water, which it will need in thousands of liters, is the biggest obstacle.
We are going to sink borehole, okay? So that is a permanent solution to the water problem.
Operations will be underway as soon.
Now, Luengo district in central Uganda has had no rain for the past 3 months, leaving scores of residents struggling to find food. The following report on some famine-stricken areas tells us about the ordeal of a 73-year-old man grappling with the appalling condition.
We hit the road to Rengo district in central Uganda early in the morning to cover the 210-kilometer distance from Kampala. The scorched grass on the hills along the way is quite telling of the harsh weather that this district has gone through. On arrival, we chanced upon 73-year-old Joseph Kawesi, where we witnessed the ravaging effects of the famine on the locals. The undernourished man sits helpless next to his sick and frail wife.
There's nothing to eat, nothing at all. I just wait for the day to end. I almost always go without food each day. I only sit and coil myself like a cat with its tail.
Kawesi has been living in this village for over 40 years now, but has almost lost hope of seeing another day because of the severe famine.
Today I'll have the food, even tomorrow, but the day after and the next, there's nothing. Only God keeps me alive through some neighbors.
Mzee Kawesi had in the previous season planted maize and cassava despite his advanced age. But what lies in front of him is all we found he had harvested, pushing his survival to the edge.
I'm praying to God for the rains.
Kawesi considers his condition a double tragedy, with famine and poverty taking a toll on him. His rickety house is on the verge of collapsing, which he says may bring to an end of this all.
I built it when I was energetic. Now I can't.
We also visited some maize farms, which were seriously scorched by the sun. The entire plantations are dry. This is what is happening in various areas across the country.
I expected to get 2,000 kilograms of the 40 kgs I had planted. My income was guaranteed, but with this weather, I am at a loss.
Crops like cassava, beans, sorghum, and bananas, among others, which are some of the staple foods for many, are no more. The residents have to wait until the next season, which is expected to begin late August. Even if the sky is open anytime soon, it will take quite some time to change the state of affairs. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV, Rengo.
The general trend of crime in Uganda has remained unchanged from the 2011 statistics, according to the latest annual crime, traffic and road safety report. Significant improvements have, however, been registered in the areas of terrorism, homicide, break-ins, and notably mob justice. Police Chief General Kale Kayihura released the report at the newly constructed police headquarters in Naguru.
Overall, the changes from the 2011 Police Annual Crime, Traffic and Road Safety Report did not vary much from the latest one. From his remarks, the Inspector General of Police Kale Kaihura did not seem amused that the crime rates nationwide that were hitherto going down by the year had instead gone a notch up.
I'm not happy that the trend has stagnated. The trend, if you look at, and she will show you, we had done very well. I don't know what, we need to do research. And that was my problem. Why is it that we started so well from 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, then we start tapering off?
But the picture painted by the report is not all gloom. The police have registered improvements in the categories of terrorism, homicide and break-ins. In 2012, the number of homicide or murders reported and investigated were 1,910 compared to 1,987 in 2011, reflecting a 4% decrease. Other areas where crimes have gone down include death by shooting, death by mob justice, death by poisoning, and death by domestic violence.
In terms of the crime rate, the number of crimes committed per population has been going down progressively until I think last year when it went down to below 100,000 mark, which of course is good.
Kaihura expressed concern about the growing trend of murders inspired by family wrangles over property, a vice that has to be dealt with.
In Masaka, in Chiruhura, in Diantonde, even in Zimbabwe, cases of children conspiring to kill their parents for property. It's a major problem.
Corruption does still feature prominently as well, and although still a yoke on society, there has been an increase in those reporting graft.
They say that there is more incidence of corruption, but rather that there is more confidence in the system to try to handle corruption cases. So people are reporting, are coming out, more whistleblowers are coming out to give those reports. Not this gimmicks of, I don't know, Baraka Monday. What does it here dancing around the street? If you have information about corruption, bring it to us.
The IGP lauded the now elevated Directorate of Traffic, which has seen the cases of road carnage go down by 11% after a series of investments in that sector of police. He, however, instructed the Director of Traffic and Road Safety, Dr. Stephen Kasima, to first clamp down police vehicles in dangerous mechanical condition and arrest police drivers who work under the influence of alcohol before dealing with other road users.
That report from Uganda brings us to the end of today's edition of Inside Africa. Thanks for your time and keep watching Afrique Media for more news.